everyone. Here's a video on factoring trinomials when a is not equal to 1. So factoring trinomials, which again are ax squared plus bx plus c, with the leading coefficient a not equal to 1, we have several different ways to factor that. So to practice, let's factor this using 3 different methods. First, we're going to look at grouping, then we're going to use the box, and then finally we're going to use this slip and slide method. So for grouping, which you'll see over here on the left, what we want to do is first write the ax squared term, so we get 2x squared, and then instead of writing minus x, 7x, we're going to put plus a blank, and then write the last term again, so we have plus 6. So what we do here is we multiply a times c, so 2 times 6 is 12. So we have to think, what factors of positive 12 add to negative 7? Well, that could be negative 4 and negative 3. So in those blanks, we'll write negative 4x and negative 3x. It doesn't matter which order you write these in the end it will all work out, just so you know. Okay, so this grouping comes from, we look at the first two terms and we group them together. And we say, okay, between these two terms, what's my greatest common factor? Well, I've got a 2x in each of them that I can pull out to the front. So I've got 2x, and then in the parentheses, I'll write what I had left over. So 2x squared divided by 2x is just x, and then negative 4x divided by 2x is negative 2. Then I do the same thing for the second group. Here's something important to remember. If you have this first term is negative, make sure you pull out the negative number with it. So we can pull out a negative 3 from both of these. And what do we have left over? Negative 3x divided by negative 3 is x. And then 6 divided by negative 3 is a negative 2. So this is a point where you would stop and consider what you have in the parentheses. You want those two things to be the same. Because if we look across the whole thing, there is a greatest common factor of x minus 2. In other words, from this first part, 2x times x minus 2, we can factor out an x minus 2. And we can also factor out an x minus 2 from the negative 3 times x minus 2. So since we've factored out the x minus 2, this first part, when we've taken out the x minus 2, all that's left is 2x. And then the second part, when we take out the x minus 2, all that's left is negative 3. So our factors are x minus 2 times 2x minus 3. It doesn't matter which order you want to write them in. Usually I'll put the factor first that has a coefficient greater than 1. But this is fine, and I would accept that as correct. So there's one way you can do it. Next we have the box, which is a way that you have likely seen before. So we start out by putting the 2x squared in the top left corner, the plus 6 in the bottom right. Okay, so we want to multiply the 2 and the 6 together. So 2 times 6 is 12. And we think, what factors of positive 12 add up to that negative 7? And again, we get a negative 4 and negative 3. So we need to fill in the outside edges. So if we look across this first row, what is the greatest common factor here? Well, it's a 2x. And looking at the first column, what's our greatest common factor? It's an x. And to double check what we've done here, 2x times x is 2x squared. So then over here, we think, what times 2x gives us negative 4x? Well, it's negative 2. And then over here, x times what gives me negative 3x, and that's negative 3. So again, we get the same factors. 2x minus 3 times x minus 2. And then finally we have the slip and slide, which is personally my favorite method. So what we do is we look at the first term of 2. And you slip it over here And 6 times 2 is 12. So now, instead of 2x squared in the front, I'm going to have an x squared. The middle term stays the same, minus 7x. And then I'm going to write that 12 instead, so plus 12. Then you factor this like you normally would. So I get x here and x here. So what factors of 12 add up to negative 7? Well, it's negative 4 and negative 3. So if we first did the slip, then you're wondering where's the slide. Well, you slide the 2 back in down here underneath the minus 4 and the minus 3. So this first one becomes x minus 2, and the second one is x minus 3 halves. Well, if we don't want to leave fractions in there, then we can take this second factor here, and to get rid of the 2, we can multiply both things by 2. So we'll get x minus 2 times x times 2 is 2x, and then negative 3 halves times 2 is negative 3. And you can see it doesn't matter which method you choose, they all give you the same factors. So here's the good news. You've been given 3 different options, so you can choose to use any one of them. Well, that's it. Hope you're having a good evening, and I'll see you later. Bye.